Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Super Action Statue JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Act 2 and Act 3 figures. They both come in the same package as like a one figure type deal because they're both very tiny. The little green guy is especially small. He's almost just an accessory, but he does have some articulation. And the other one has some nice details for being so small, so that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. We're going to start with number 3. He stands just about 3 3/4 inches tall, which makes him just about a little over 9 centimeters. Number 2 here, not counting his tail, is only about 4 centimeters tall, which makes him just about 1.5 inches. So they're very tiny, this guy in particular, but they pack a ton of detail. You can see this guy has a lot of paintwork and a lot of sculpt work, and he does have some articulation. We'll go over the articulation in just a minute, but these guys do look really nice. The paint jobs are just like most SAS figures. It's fantastic. It looks really, really good. So before we get into them anymore, though, let's talk accessories. They do both have a tiny display stand, which you saw on my rotating display stand in the beginning. They also have an upright, which I guess is just to connect onto a regular SAS stand. I'm not sure what's up with that, but the peg is too big for any of these, and it has a little claw at the top, so I guess that's what that's for. We also have 2 little clear acrylic uprights, which are meant for holding these other 2 accessories, which one is like a disc and one is a ball type thing. I don't know what those are, but they are included. And then we have an alternate head for number 3, which is kind of nice. We have 2 fist hands for number 3, 2 open palm hands, and then 2 style pose hands. And then for number 2, we have an alternate tail, which is actually wired and bendy, although the wire stops very early, so you have to be careful with that. And then we also have some itty bitty tiny fist hands and the tiny open palm hands. So definitely some posing options for both guys. We're going to go through number 3 really quickly. First, for articulation, we just have the hinge for the neck and then, of course, the peg that the head connects to, but you still get really good range out of it. No problem there. We have a single ball hinge for the shoulder, which is a little bit limiting. Doesn't have the best range, but you can get most posing done that you need to, so no problem there. You will get a little bit of a bicep swivel out of that, but you can also just rotate around at the ball hinge for the elbow, which works very nicely. And then for the wrists, you already saw on the interchangeable hands, we just have the straight peg with the hinge for the wrist, so that's fine. We have a double. Is it a double or a single? I'm not sure. I think it's just a single ball peg for the torso, so you can move this guy around pretty well, surprisingly well, given how small he is right there. Then you just have a waist twist for the lower torso. His skirt just has a single hinge on it, so it just lifts up a little bit so you can move the legs. However, the problem with the legs is that it's just a standard ball hinge in there, but the peg goes almost completely vertically, so you have to use the hinge to bring them forward, and then you can't really rotate them around because you can't get in there to do it due to the skirt. So you can technically give the legs a lot of range, but it's going to be a total pain to do it, so be aware of that. We have another ball hinge for the knee, but it gives you very little range, almost none, so that's kind of a problem. And then we have the same hinge for the ankle, which can be okay, except when you try to rotate it around to move the foot properly, it kind of just separates the joint. Do you see that? You don't want to do that too much, and on this side, it was doing it even more. You see how it's kind of just starting to pop apart? You don't want to do that, so be very careful. And then we have a toe hinge, which is super tiny, and probably not going to accomplish very much. I do like the sculpt on this guy a whole lot, especially these little gold bits that are hanging down. That looks really cool. The gold spike is painted nicely. We have shading throughout the white, and then the green with the black wash just looks really good. So very nicely detailed figure. Given the size, I think the limited articulation it's acceptable. Now for this guy who's even tinier, we do have a little bit less. Not as much to talk about, but we do have some. For the headpiece, we actually do have a ball hinge, which will allow this thing to move around, which is his entire head. So that's okay. You can move the whole thing around and rotate it. However, the rotation, it wants to separate again rather than moving, so be very careful with that, but you can do it. For the shoulder, we just have a ball peg, essentially. It doesn't have the best range, but you can move the arm around a little bit. It's not so bad. It's all right. And then for the wrists, we just have a swivel. No articulation in the torso. We have a swivel for the hips, which is very minimal and not that helpful. And that's it. Well, the tail is on a ball hinge, but the body is, that's it. There's not a whole lot in the body. Ball hinge for the tail. Does this piece move? No, that piece doesn't move. So, it's not bad. He's got a lot of detail for being so tiny, and the fact that they did work in some articulation, I think that's pretty nice. So they're not the most elaborate figures in the world, but they'll definitely get the job done if you want to add them to your JoJo's collection. I think you'll probably enjoy having them, and they definitely are kind of novel in that they are so tiny. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you come back for all of that. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any of it, and give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. And then, in the meantime, keep collecting.